Hello, Otaku Fujoshi Anime Curious. My name is Random Sama 613 and welcome to another episode of Anime Opinions. This week's going to be the final week of first impressions from the spring 2014 anime season, and I've got two more to do, both of which have been pretty good actually. One was obviously better than the other, and I'll tell you why. So, first off for these, I'm going to talk about a series that started way back at the actual beginning of the season, not towards the middle like this other one. And that is Aquaman No Riddle. It's a series done by Diomedia, which is a company that did another series I really like, which is Mondaiji Tachi, or Problem Children Are Coming from Another World, Aren't They? They also did Campione, which was definitely not as good as Mondaiji Tachi, but it was still quite watchable, and it was okay at best, is how I would describe it. The basic premise for Aquaman No Riddle is that there is a special class in this school called Class Black, and there are 13 students, 12 of which are assassins who are trying to kill the 13th student. And we're following, it looks like primarily we're going to be following one of the assassins, whose name is Azuma. And the other part of the premise is that she has developed feelings towards the target, which is, the target is announced at the end of the first episode, but you can kind of figure out who it is. And Azuma has developed feelings towards this target, whose name is Haru. So it's going to be a kind of survival game-esque kind of series, it looks like. I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the OP to start off with. I don't like it very much. I'm sure it'll grow on me because most OPs do. And just it started off that I just don't like it for now. The rest of the OST is very good and the ED is fantastic to make up for it, so I'm not too worried about that aspect of it. The animation quality is pretty good. One of my minor gripes is that I think that Azuma's eyes look a little funny, but again, that's kind of a stylistic choice, and I can live with that. But overall, the animation quality is very, very good, which is to be expected of Diomedia. The animation quality has always been one of their strong points. So it definitely looks good. There's a lot of different characters because there's the 12 assassins, there's the target, there's the teacher, there's the school administrator, and a bunch of other people. So there's a really big cast of characters, all of whom are rather different. Just as an example, the teacher seems kind of absent-minded and airheaded, but he seems really nice and kind of innocent, like he doesn't even know what's going on, but I'm sure that that's going to change very, very quickly. And then there's just the variety of assassins is very, very interesting. There's one girl who is a completely different person by day than she is by night, and stuff like that. One of my primary complaints is that the primary assassin, Azuma, seems kind of like a bland character. She doesn't have a lot of personality to her, and I understand that part of that is the way that her training was taken. Is she was trained not to feel, not to express her emotions. And I understand that, but at the same time it makes her kind of a bland character, which isn't, I don't think, the best way to go. But she still seems like she'll be interesting at least, which is nice. One of the other things I really liked about just the first episode itself was that they kind of teased that there's going to be more of a backstory to Haru and more of a backstory to Azuma and more of a backstory, it seems like, to everybody, which I really like. I like that they're going to go into why the circumstances are what they are, why Haru is the target, why whoever wants her dead, stuff like that. So that seems to be interesting. So I'm going to keep watching this. I'm going to give it 3 episodes for sure, because I haven't watched 3 episodes yet. I've only watched 1. So I'm having some high hopes for it, and I'm hoping it's going to be good, because it'll be interesting and it might help fill the Yuri void that Sakura Trick left. And then the second series I'm going to talk about is a late start series, and that is M3 The Dark Metal, which is being done by Satelight. Satelight has done multiple series. I think that most recently it was Log Horizon, which is very good, Nobunaga the Fool, which is decidedly not. Those are the 2 most recent ones that they've done. The general premise is kind of weird, is that there's this darkness that has kind of appeared as a separate dimension, and monsters that are known as admonitions are coming from it. And there's this team of people who have been gathered from varying places that pilot mechs that are going to fight them and defend the civilian population. That's the generalized kind of premise. The animation within the darkness section of it is kind of an abstract, it's almost Monogatari-esque, would be kind of the way I'd sort of describe it. The coloring is kind of abstract and contrasting, and it looks really interesting. It has really good shadow play, stuff like that. Otherwise, it's kind of just normal animation. The animation is not particularly good, it's not particularly bad, it's kind of Satelight standard. The CG is awful, also Satelight standard, but it's a little bit better than Nobunaga the Fools, so it's a step up, but not much of one, because it looks really bad. It seems like the main character is going to be a guy named Akashi. He's a fairly typical sulky teenage main mecha character. I don't really see anything particularly special about him, so we'll see where that goes. I'd say the OP and the OST are passable. They're not great, but they're not awful. So that's actually kind of a turn for the weirder on this particular season, is that this is probably the worst OST of all of them. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm hoping that it kind of grows on me a little bit. Because Satelight does do decent OSTs, as Log Horizon can be shown. And Log Horizon actually has a very good OST. So we'll see what happens with that. I think one of the biggest downsides to this series is that it's another high school setting, basically. And which is just, I'm kind of over high school settings for the obvious reason that I'm not in high school, so I don't really relate as well to that, and that's a common problem that's been cropping up in anime for forever anyway. So it's not surprising, but still, it's kind of disappointing to see that they're doing this as another high school anime kind of thing. There's been 8 people chosen for this team that's going to fight monsters and enter the quote-unquote lightless zone, which is this darkness that all the monsters come from, but everyone who's gone into the lightless zone prior has died or just hasn't come back. So that'll be interesting. Basically, from what I can kind of gather, is that the admonitions are a lot like the Borg from Star Trek, if anyone's familiar with that. If not, basically they assimilate people and they become part of the admonitions, or part of the Borg, of the collective, essentially, and they become admonitions by being absorbed. Overall, it seems like it's going to be an okay series. I'll give it 3 episodes. I'm hoping it's going to be good. It has a lot of potential. It seems interesting. I like mecha. I don't really like the designs of the mecha, but I can kind of let that go. So I'm kind of hoping that this one picks up a little bit and gets a little bit better, but I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because Satelight has not been doing great mecha series for a while. So we'll see what happens with this one. So this wraps up all of my first impressions. I'll go back to normal reviews as of probably next week. I may have a top 5 as a filler, just so I have a little more time. But go ahead and let me know what you guys think about the current season down in the comments below. What do you think of the 2 series I mentioned, specifically M3 and Aquaman No Riddle, in this particular video? If you like the video, go ahead and like it. It does help me quite a bit. If you dislike it, go ahead and hit that dislike button. I'm fine with that. But please, by all means, leave a comment down below. That helps out a lot too. Whether it's from a technical standpoint or just from my opinion, by all means disagree with me. I do like to have some discussion down there. But until next time, I've been RandomSama613. This has been Anime Opinions, and until then, watch more anime.